Hello, and welcome to episode 181 of Prog Review. And I'm really glad that all you Dream Theatre fans are nursing a sore bottom from the last review. You deserve it. You really do. You know. Now, go and fuck off and get your ears syringed. Alright? We'll have no trouble here. Now, before you sad sacks start bleating on that this isn't prog, I know. I'm not an idiot, like you lot. But what are we doing? We're doing a thread about concept albums. You know, and I'm going to do my best to, to justify this album's inclusion. This album here, this album's inclusion amongst the ranks that, that managed to tell a story. Yes, we are talking about Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age. A modern entry into the pantheon of concept albums, perhaps. Some say it is, some say it isn't. I'm going to talk you through it. We're going to talk our way through this. Okay, first off, the concept behind this is a rather loose one. It involves a road trip across California, from Los Angeles to Joshua Tree, and this is illustrated by the various fake radio stations that are featured in between the songs on the album. The album itself opens up with the sound of the radio being switched on and channels being searched until a station is found and a DJ introduces himself as Kip Casper and the channel KLONE, or clone. Clever that. Apparently it's the station where all the music sounds the same. Oh, a little bit of satire there. Oh, having a bit of poke at popular music perhaps. And then we hear the ignition engage and the car start its journey. And so our musical journey begins. In fact, the concept is actually rolled out into the album artwork, because if you unfurl the CD booklet, you'll find a rather nice picture of a car dashboard complete with a radio marked with the word deaf on it. So there's the concept. The songs that you hear are actually being played on the radio on the journey to Joshua Tree. So how's that for a bit of a metaphysical musical posturing for you? It's a bit different, isn't it? And so the album opens with the chugging "You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, But I Feel Like a Millionaire," sung by Nick Oliveri, and it's a call to arms complete with fake ending, which segues into the first proper big hit of the album, the sublime "No One Knows," a love song of obsession and possible unrequited love, and that's a theme that we hear again throughout the album. It's augmented by some sterling drum work by Dave Grohl, that fella out of that band with the bloke who went, that fella. It's probably more noted for the Michael Gondry video where the stag beats up the band and mounts their heads on the trophy wall. I really like that. It's good. He did all the Bjork videos as well. Human Behaviour. Love that video. As that song ends, we're treated to the radio being retuned again. You'll get used to it, there's a lot of that. And this time the driver comes across a radio station helmed by, I've got to put my teeth in for this, DJ Hector Bonifacio Echeverria Cervantes de la Cruz Rojas, who proceeds to introduce the next song, First It Giveth, which then begins to play. It's a song with buzzsaw guitar and a lyric that alludes to possible sadomasochistic relationship, but the nature of the music makes it quite hypnotic. In fact, quite a few of the songs like that, the rhythms and the guitars, they kind of work into your brain, and the songs being quite short, they're all in around the 3-minute mark. They get to the point rather quickly. Unlike Dream Theatre. Apples and oranges, I know. A Song for the Dead is another car-based anthem about looking for the perfect death whilst being behind the wheel of your automobile. Whilst the sky is falling, takes an Arabic slant complete with slow drumming and multi-track backing vocals before the guitars crunch back in, and we're back into familiar territory. And whereas the previous song was about self-destruction, this is the flip side to it. It's about turning your back away from the negative and about wasting your time investing energies in the pursuit of all the wrong targets. So it's kind of a positive song. It's a strange twist on the positive. Then there's another change of radio station. We listen to KRDL, the station that spoils music for everyone, and the location is actually given as the Chino Hills in California before the station is quickly changed to KWOL. That's KWOL KWOL, and then it goes back again. Despite the announcer talking about the song Millionaire, which was the first track on the album, the station quickly changes once more and the song Six Shooter begins, which is a 1 minute 19 second study in making a right old racket indeed. Hanging Tree is another short track which conjures up the images of two people being fascinated by a tree, used historically for lynchings, though the meanings here are scant and often ambiguous. You have to bring a lot of your own meaning to the songs. You have to read between the lines. That's kind of cool, because you make up your own stories, but looking for meaning, sometimes we can all come up with different versions of the same thing, if that makes sense. The second big hit of the album arrives in the form of the thunderous Go With The Flow. It's another nihilistic anthem which I find, again, strangely hypnotic, and it's a personal favourite of mine. Its appeal is reinforced by the now iconic black and red rotoscoped video made by British production company Shinola. I love the video, I love the song. One day I shall do a bad cover version of it because I like it so much. Gonna Leave You is a short little song sung by Oliveri which has some interesting guitar textures and seems to follow the general theme of the album of one's inability to break free from their current situation. Again, even though this is a road album, you get the feeling a lot of the protagonists in the songs are trapped by their own making, and that is it's that energy kind of pervades the album, of I'm going to do something but I can't. There's a lot of empty threats here. Meanwhile, Do It Again begins with a thumping beat which could have been stolen from glam rockers Mud and their Tiger Feet song or Susie Quattro's Devil Gate Drive. Now I'm feeling my age, and it chronicles the carnal excesses of a couple who seem to be the perfect fit, if you know what I mean. But the other half in the relationship is either a professional or doesn't belong to the protagonist. Again, there's lots of ambiguity here and you have to do your best to fill in the blanks. Then we hear from Tom Sherman of Baining College appealing for a blood drive before he accidentally knocks the needle off the record, and the radio is changed many times with the various stations being scrambled before we settle onto a religious station. So I want you all to give me a hallelujah. This naturally brings us to the song God Is On The Radio. It's a real stomper whose lyrics deal with the paranoid delusions that somebody who actually believes that the message of God is leaking out of his radio set. This is followed by another love song which sounds like something British band Squeeze might have recorded back in the day. It had a very kind of Squeeze feel to it. Then the radio station is changed once more to the station WOMB, or Womb. Clever that. And we come up to DJ Natasha Schneider, who introduces A Song for the Deaf, which again infuses Eastern influences with a hypnotic drum pattern with a bleak, destructive lyric. When the song finishes, the radio station introduces Dive. That ain't good, is it? It's very warm today. My mouth's dry. Introduces DJ Dave Catchin at WANT, signing off for the night, before we hear a shortened version of the feel-good hit of the summer from the Queen of the Stone Age album Rated R, but all the lyrics are replaced with maniacal laughter. It's a kind of strange postscript. Now, the album is then rounded off properly with Mosquito Song, which name-checks the following album by the Queens of the Stone Age in its lyrics and astutely compares us all to food. Now, I would guess by this part of the album we've reached our destination of Joshua Tree on this fabled road trip. We are there, though something makes me think that we might have actually reached it by the previous song with the I don't know, it's hard to know. There's no when the DJ signs off, maybe that's when the journey ends. The Mosquito is more of a postscript to the journey. I don't know. Now, you do get extra bonus tracks depending on which version of the album you buy. One is a cover of the Ray Davies song Everyone's Going to Be Happy. Another is a live version of The Lost Art of Keeping a Secret. It brings nothing to the general concept vibe, but they're there for the seeking out. In terms of this being a concept album, it's hard to see it being any more than a series of songs linked by the conceit of a driver changing radio stations. Thematically, there are shared topics within the songs, but they're not strong enough or distinct enough to form a pattern or a separate narrative. There are no characters per se. But you could consider this to be a soundtrack to a road trip, you know, and it'd be interesting to see if anyone's actually made a similar journey from LA to Joshua Tree with this on the car radio, and maybe it makes more sense, you know, with the journey, you know, perhaps the geography of the trip adds an extra dimension to the record, or perhaps I'm just looking for patterns of meaning that aren't actually there. So, as an album, yeah, it's okay. It has a couple of good hits on it. Some of the songs move at the same pace. There's little darkness or light. You know, it seems to be all cut from the same musical cloth, if you get my drift. But I will eternally enjoy it. No One Knows and Go With The Flow. I think they're, you know, truly great songs. But, you know, as an album, leaves me a little bit unsatisfied. So I'm going to give this 2 6 shooters out of 5. That's 2 6 shooters out of 5, with points being knocked off for there being a general lack of a narrative. You know, this is a new kind of concept album where, you know, there is no narrative, it's more a soundtrack. And it being about 15 minutes too long as an album, you know, because it's about an hour long. Could have cut some off, made it a bit more shorter, a bit more punchier, and I would have enjoyed it more. So that's it. My name's been Darren Locke. I've been talking about Queens of the Stone Age and Songs for the Deaf, a virtual road trip, if you will. Be sure to check it out and, of course, discuss it in the description box below. Next one up, we've had Queens of the Stone Age, so it's got to be Queensryche, perhaps. What do you reckon? Operation Mindfart, whatever it's called, Brain Squeak. And I'll have a listen to that one and give you my report. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Remember to join me on Twitface for all the pictures of my genitals that I post there, and you know, thumbs up, thumbs down. You know what you got to do. You know. Remember to harass a Dream Theatre fan whenever you can, and that's it really. I think that's just about everything. Oh yeah, Prog on.